Oh,
Hi, good evening and welcome. Tonight we have Noble Class Academy back. Justin Kim is here along with Jason Park, and today they're going to go over all about information for undergraduate students interested in majoring in a business major. So take it away.
okay.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Justin.
All right. Make sure that it's unmuted.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So, my name is Jason. I am a math teacher at Noble Class Academy. Like Justin just said, I'm going to talk about the undergraduate business major because a lot of the students are thinking about going into the business major, but most of them don't have an idea of what that is, like from what business is and what you can study there, and like the little steps during your college career. So um, it's going to be fun.
Right.
So let's see how it goes.
Right. Okay. So when I just do the consultation with parents and have a conference with students, some students, when I ask always like, what kind of major you're interested in, stuff like that, a lot of students are saying business or like marketing and management. And if I try to just delve into a little further, and probably they don't have like a really good idea of what they're just wanting or what they're just referring to, right? So where do we begin, Jason?
So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. So the table of contents for today is I'm first going to identify what business major is as well as its concentrations, and then we're going to move on to what are some advantages of studying business in undergraduate and what are some risks.
Mhm.
And after that, we're going to talk about what are some of the best undergraduate business schools you can go into and why they are the top schools. And for the ones who are not into those couple of schools, I'm going to show you some alternatives depending on your preference. So first thing first, the major and the concentration. When students say they major in a area of study like biology, computer science, business, is talking about the general um, academic area.
Right. Okay.
Whereas the concentration, you're going a little more specific into it. So you can think of the concentration as like a components in the pool of a major. So if business is general overview of all the operations in the business world, and concentrations, if you've seen this slide, contains different areas of studies, including accounting through economics here. We're not going to talk about everything here. I'm going to focus on finance and data science, since those are the two most popular concentrations as of now.
Right. So basically, we could say that basically major is kind of large umbrella, and under that umbrella, we have different kinds of specific field of study, which is going to be like concentrations, right?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
So,
Sounds good.
Yeah. From the ones that people might be more familiar to, like accounting, you're going to be like the expert in numbers if you concentrate in accounting. Whereas in finance, you not only need knowledge with like the balance sheets, income statement, cash flow statements, which are the cores of any business operations,
Mhm.
but you should also be able to use that knowledge and apply even more. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later in the slides, but a lot of the companies who are hiring from the finance students, okay, the companies expect the students to have at least like an intermediate level of accounting in their background.
Right. Okay.
Some other ones I want to mention is like the operations. Um, you might have heard it as operations management. You guys might have heard it as operations management. But if there are employees who's taking care of the front end of the business, operations managers, they make sure all the process within the firm goes as smoothly as possible. So
Okay.
they're taking care of the procedures within the company.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And marketing, if you're not like the number person, like you're not very close to quantitative stuff, but you still want to get into the business world, this is an option for you because Marketing contains a lot of qualitative side of the business where instead of you punching the numbers and trying to figure out how to value the company, you think about how the consumers are going to react to like the advertisements that the company posts or the product that the company launches.
Okay.
Economics, I want to talk a little bit about here because there's an economics major in College of Arts and Science.
Right, right. That's what I was going to point it out.
Right.
Because many colleges, economics is not like in like business, college, right?
Right. Yeah. Economics usually falls under the College of Arts and Science. It's a lot more um, general, but if you concentrate in economics as a business major student, you are going to be learning like the microeconomics and macro, everything that the students from the College of Arts and Science are going to learn.
Right, right,
But
right.
on top of that, you're going to bring it to the higher application, to the company level, like the corporate level.
Okay.
And the last concentration, your data science, you can think of this as a rising star.
Right.
Yeah, as you guys know, like right now there's higher technological applications in any industry. Business not an exception here. So even though like historically business has been um, more of interaction between the people and the companies,
Right, right.
now um, a lot of banks, a lot of like companies, they're trying to incorporate the technology into their system a lot more. So data science, you're not only going to learn the fundamentals of the business, but on top of that, you're going to learn how to like code, or you're gonna um, become like more tech savvy.
Right,
perhaps.
right,
Like,
right.
yeah, using the computer softwares, you're gonna be like the software engineering of the business world,
Right.
kind of. Yeah.
Right. So recently, I noted that, one of the things is, for example, like a financial engineering.
Right.
This has been tremendously like popular, and a lot of students are pursuing the career
Mhm.
because even a lot of like large like accounting and finance firms are hiring, employees who have like a strong finance and business background as well as some sort of like a technical like abilities, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And there's like no shortage of the supplies with the data science and computer science right now.
Right, right.
So
Of
this
course.
is a great concentration to keep in mind if you're thinking about going into the, or if your child is thinking about going into the business major. So possible career tracks, I'm just gonna mention a couple of things, so like finance and data science concentration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For finance, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
For finance, like investment banking is like the number one, like you can call the investment bankers as like the golden boy. Yeah.
Right.
Because as I said, if you're going to concentrate in finance, you're going to know the in and outs of business from the qualitative side. Obviously, the quantitative side is a given. So to briefly explain what investment bankers do, um, for those of you who are not so familiar with that career path, let's say like your child is planning on opening up a new business,
Right.
but he doesn't know how to raise a capital, and parents here are not willing to invest the money in the child's business because you're not sure if that's going to be successful.
Okay.
Then your son or daughter can go to the investment bank and ask the investment banker to sell or pitch the idea that your child has to other potential investors.
Right.
So investment banker's job is to value the startups or the ventures within the companies and trying to make it as attractive as possible to the potential investors
Right.
slash clients. And other than that, once you are very familiar with the numbers and you're good behaviorally as well, and consulting is always an option. Very similar to investment banking, when the company comes in with a problem, your job as a consultant will be simply like solving that problem. And
Okay.
fintech is the last one.
Right.
Like, yeah. The
That's
data
interesting.
science,
Yeah. I was going to say that, right? This is a basically branch of like a data science, right? Based in finance, right?
And finance and data science.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Because
Okay.
that didn't come around, that didn't come out that long ago, because fintech is like financial technology. What you're trying to do is use the program to make the process of financial operations a lot more efficient.
Right, right.
Yeah. So something that humans can do, you're trying to like make the process faster and eliminate the bottlenecks
Right.
using the tech. So you know, usually the students who go into fintech, as I see from my post, um, like students in the same grade in college, they not only like concentrate in finance, but they co-concentrate in either data science or statistics to have that technical um, supplement in their resume as well.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I believe that that's going to be a really promising field of concentration, even in finance within the domain, because literally we're living in like a era of fourth revolution, industrial revolution, right?
Right.
Everything's going to be like IT based, and I know that like a lot of finance companies and accounting companies, they're just trying to slowly replacing like a human resource with like an algorithm based kind of programs and everything, right?
Mm.
So some people say that probably accountants and finance is probably going to be one of the main occupations that are going to be like eradicated over time.
Sure.
Right, right. But if you are able to generate resources and maintain that kind of technologies, definitely you're gonna be able to just thrive in that field, right?
Exactly. So going to data science, it actually connects. Even if
Right. Yes.
the programs replace a lot of the work that humans can do, you still need somebody to manage those programs and make those programs. So data science and stats, you call the bankers who concentrate in those areas and start their first career in the financial industry as quants.
Right.
What they do right now is, if investment bankers' job is to sell the company, pitch the idea, quant's job is to sit in the back office and trying to analyze the companies and give the analysis to the investment bankers so that they can do the pitch. So if you are not the type of person who enjoys being, who's not that outgoing, who doesn't enjoy like talking to a lot of people like in front and presenting, then this might be
the direction they're going to go for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
the program I talked about, like it can be from managing the risk of the company to modeling, like projecting what the stock price is going to be. Those the programs, the computers, the machines can do it, but something that humans still have to manage.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why is business major attractive? So this is the research done from the Georgetown University. As you can see, business is the #1 major that students want to study in undergraduate college.
Yeah, this is kind of surprising because I thought just computer science has become, enormously popular these days.
Right. Computer science did become pretty popular. As you can see, like the unemployment rate for computer science is 5.6%. That means there's never a shortage of supply, demand for computer science. But business 6%, 5.6, the difference is negligible here almost. And even though there's a little bit of gap in the starting salary, but the point here is, even though a lot of people are studying business, the unemployment rate is almost the same as the computer science, which you guys are, I'm pretty sure, aware that the demand is pretty high right now. Yeah. Okay. So I included some other majors here, psychology, economics, and other liberal arts. That I'm gonna expand upon in the next slide here. Those three majors could be they could be good alternatives to the business major. Okay. If you are not entirely sure this is the right career path for you, and I'll tell you why it might not be. Okay. If you go into the undergraduate business school, you can pretty much think of it as a boot camp for the company that you're going to be working for after graduation, post-grad. Which means from the freshman year until you graduate, you're not going to have that much opportunity to explore and really dive into other subjects or other
Field of studies.
right, and that you are interested in,
Mhm.
you know, because you're going to be very like overwhelmed with the amount of work you have to do. That is a weakness, but if you, on the other hand, with the same logic, if you are so sure that you want to go into banking, consulting, into the financial industry, then this might be the perfect major you can choose from, because
Okay.
there's not going to be a better program that's going to prepare you for the postgrad jobs,
Okay.
pretty much. But something to keep in mind here. So if you want to go into the undergraduate business schools, the top 7 schools that you can choose from.
Yeah, they're all outstanding schools.
Yeah, I mean, like
Remarkable,
who,
yeah.
yeah, from UPenn, MIT, like the names, the big names here.
Right.
Based on the US news, top 10 undergraduate, but I recommend top 8 unless if you want to go into the financial industry and you realistically cannot or not able to aim for the top 8 undergraduate business schools, I highly recommend studying economics or other related majors other than business. The reason I'm going to speak in detail, like in the next slide, but when the students go into the interviews for the companies, there's a lot of factors that those companies are going to be looking for.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not like you're applying for colleges. They're looking for a grown-up people who's willing to work long hours, and um, they don't want the kids. Yeah.
Right.
They want the professional.
Sure. Sure.
And these 7 schools prepare the undergraduate students better than most others. And the reason is the recruitment timeline and the process that you have to take is insane.
Okay.
Here, I want you to think about, it says like for the summer internship, you are going to be recruiting from December to March and full-time August to December, but it doesn't say which academic year. A lot of people think this is going to happen in the junior year, mostly senior and some junior year, but most of the recruiting gets done, especially for the financial industry, in the sophomore year in college.
Okay.
So if you think about it, your children in high school, a year after they go to college, they have to start preparing for this.
Right.
And fetch the job.
Right.
And let's be honest, like no matter how bright the kid is, that's not something that the kid can do alone.
Right.
And if you look at the things that you have to do from the beginning of the sophomore year, like if you go into the interviews, you're going to be just people are going to ask you a bunch of questions that you cannot
Answer probably.
Yeah,
properly.
answer without preparing for a good amount of time.
Right.
Here.
Okay.
And there's broadly 2 types, technicals and behaviors. So behavior questions are the questions like this. They're going to ask you like, what is your strength, weaknesses, and if you're like thrown in a certain this circumstance, what are you going to do? So they're going to ask you how you're going to react to a risk or a crisis, and they want to see what your solution is going to be. On the other hand, the technical questions can be as simple as how do you find this? How do you calculate that? Yeah. So if you have like the cheat sheet that you can just study off from, that would be great. But there's hundreds of questions that the companies can ask from.
Right. Sure.
And there's not enough time. And there's just simply way too many questions to study from. So where do you get the help? If you go to the top schools, there's a higher chance of the upperclassmen having gone through the same exact process.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of like a network. School
Right,
network.
school
yes.
network. So the juniors and seniors who have gone through this know what kind of questions they were asked.
Right. Right.
So they're going to help the underclassmen through the mock interviews, ask them questions, and give them like the good resources to study from.
Mhm.
And that actually happens in the late freshman year nowadays. Yeah.
Okay.
So you learn like the basics of the business in the first semester in college,
Sure. Yes.
and then
Right.
you start training.
Okay.
So you get the picture. You really don't have that much room to study and explore for other academic subjects here.
Right. Let me add to that. So even if you like, graduate, you study intensely 4 years at like a business school, but that doesn't mean that you're just ready to jump right into like actual field, right?
Right.
Even if you just, went to one of those top like a business schools and you just have outstanding GPA and you went to different kinds of programs or whatever, you still need to be trained at the particular company,
Right.
right? So
Mhm.
nobody's going to be ready. So I think that the point that James is trying to make here is that you don't have to wait until you feel like you're ready to just deal with those kind of professionals, because even if you are about to graduate, you're not going to be ready.
Exactly.
You rather find resources to be prepared to just grab those opportunities when they're present, right? So that you don't think of it sophomores too early. Yeah, I mean, as a professional, you're not even close to become a professional yet, but it is you have like a potential, and you take advantage of like finding this opportunity earlier the better. Right. That's the point you're trying to make, right?
Earlier the better.
Right.
But it's very early, as you can see.
Yes.
And it's not just you studying by yourself.
Right.
Yeah, in the second semester of the sophomore year, you have to start just calling a person or emailing a person. You have to find it through LinkedIn or like going to the company website and see who the human resource
Managers are.
those
Those people.
and ask them what are some of the opportunities, and just call hundreds, like tens of hundreds of emails and calls.
Right.
I went through that. It was not fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it
Yeah.
would be fun, of course.
No.
Yeah. So then you're not going to be welcome, but nonetheless, you have to try it out.
And in the meantime, you're not just doing this, but in the sophomore year, you have to, as in, if you don't have this, it's going to hurt you in the process later. You should be interning at a place, because 9 out of 10 times, if you go for the summer analyst program, which is like a real job, but it's like 3 months of testing period from the company to see if you're really worth hiring.
Okay.
You get paid the same amount that the analyst gets paid for
Okay.
first years. So it's you can pretty much think of it as like your first real job. But while you're interviewing for that, they're going to ask you, what did you do in your freshman year, summer, sophomore, spring, and summer?
Mhm.
If you cannot answer that, then
chances
you're
are-
behind.
Right.
Because
right.
most of the students who are aiming for that analyst program probably have a fabulous like resume, CV. So another thing, better or higher the rank the school is, the better the school is, the undergraduate business school is, higher chance of the upperclassmen or the alumni having gone to those like big names. Like if I use the banking, for example, like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, those big names, you're able to reach out to them, and even they come back to the schools and open up an info session, like the colleges coming to high school,
Right.
and they're trying to provide the opportunities to their how can I say this? Like their child,
Right.
yeah, in their parent school. So definite advantage that you're going to have, but that doesn't mean that your career is not going to be like achievable just because you don't go to those 7 schools,
Of course.
top 8 schools.
Of course.
Yeah, if you know exactly what you want to do, like I'm just using these 4 as an example. It could also apply to some other concentrations, but especially entrepreneurship, accounting, Dobson and UT Austin. They have great programs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard when the students come in for the accounting interviews, lots of UT Austin kids like in the final round, but the finance interviews, like the banking interviews, I haven't seen that many students from non-target schools. Non-target school as in not non-top 8 schools that I mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because if the banking is not like I must do this kind of thing for you or your child, then after exploring like more concentrations, I want you to think about if this might be something that you want to really dive into, then you don't have to aim for super crazy schools. You can um, choose the program that is going to take a good care of you
Okay.
and less competitive. So that means like the academics is going to be less stressful as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have to get being like top 20, 30% of the class to get your job because, like I said, the programs are going to prepare for you well, and the companies are aware of that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know like I covered this very like briefly as in, like an overview, but the main point is this. When my students, a lot of my students, they say they want to study business, like I said, but
Right.
I always ask them why. Because if you don't know exactly why you want to study business, that is, excuse me, is like the stupidest decision that you can make. It's very risky. But if you research enough and you try like a bit of internship, you can also do like an internship as a high school student. Um, and to see like what the business culture is like and you enjoy that and you want to really see what's going to be like to jump into that industry, then studying business major might be perfect for you. So I recommend you chosen to learn more about this
Right.
before diving into the decision just do business just because it's like the popular major and you're going to be able to get a good job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Jason, you studied at NYU, right?
Right.
Right. So, can you just share a little bit of your college? What was the best part of like of being like an NYU member? Like,
Well, like putting this serious stuff aside, NYU like is located in Manhattan,
part of New
like in
York,
the
right?
city. So
Part of New York
there's a
City,
lot
yes.
of entertainment, right?
Right.
But on top of that, because it's like the heart of the finance of the world,
Right.
there's a lot of professional opportunities. And for NYU and other the city schools,
Right.
even if you don't major in business, you a lot of the companies they accept like economics major, psychology major, even computer science major. Needless to say for them.
Right.
So if you want to dive into finance and you don't like any of the schools that you research, then maybe picking a school in the city and being exposed to the infinite professional opportunities might be a smart decision as well.
Right.
But NYU for me, the greatest part I mentioned it before was like upperclassmen. They are not like, oh, I don't want you to succeed, so I'm not going to help you. They
Right.
are more than willing to provide you with guidance and resources to
Right.
break into whatever
Right.
job you want to
Right.
there.
Yeah, that's what I told too. Because I mean, NYU is among many things NYU known for. It's a strong like alumni network. Right. So that you're as long as you're willing to just find some kind of connections and you're willing to make some efforts. Obviously, your alumni or even like upperclassmen are willing to just cooperate because, like you just mentioned, they're more than willing to just share the resources.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
So,
All right. Before just we go, I want to wrap up a little bit here and there. So again, as a director of like a private tutoring place, I have interactions with many parents and students, especially students. So one of the things that I always ask with like junior students is like, what kind of major you're interested in, and they're saying like business or marketing and management, or like even they barely say like accounting and finance unless they have a really genuine interest in those fields. So like it's not some kind of topic that you can just begin with. Oh, I'm not interested in any particular field of major, so I want to say like business because everybody knows business or something like that. So I always try to deliver this kind of information to students that they need to do a little bit of homework before they say business or marketing or management, right? They need to know what they're just thinking about. Like they have no idea, like sometimes what a manager would do. I mean, even manager, there are so many different kinds of managements, even in the concentration and in the actual field, even manager could do many different things. And so that students need to just keep their eyes out for what kind of business majors are available, what kind of occupations are available, right? And then the second thing is, these days, as I just kind of briefly mentioned, like more than one industry, more than one specialty are just blended into just from different kinds of occupations and professionals. Like sometimes those major accounting and finance firms look hiring some statistics students, economic students, or simply just like computer science major students, because like we just briefly discussed, we already see like a industry has been substantially transformed to like towards like a fourth revolution of industrial revolution, right? So there are so many different opportunities available, right? So keep their eyes out for, and if you do a little bit of research, and then students are able to find out really good programs and colleges that can just build up their career even in college.
Yeah, because this is not just the case for business major. It applies same for
Other
popular
industries,
ones,
yes,
like computer
yes,
science,
of course,
like everything. Like so, like Justin said, I really want the students and also the parents to really dig into what these academic areas are going to be, so that the students can have like the best possible experience in college, because 4 years that you're never going to get back. So you want to choose the optimal thing. So it's pretty much optimal of everything like this.
Right.
The study, the location, everything combined. So do your homework.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Again, we just we were only able to cover a very brief sense of each and every topic we just covered today, because there are so many details, there's so many like specifics that we need to go over. So if you have any question, or if you would like to have more information about a specific field of business or concentration, as you see, like, you can email us, hey, I need more information and stuff like that. We'll definitely follow up, and we're just planning on different kinds of webinar, later this year, so that if you come up with the different kinds of, topic, we'll definitely be able to just present, in a collaboration with your library. Again, if you have any other question about business major or any aspect of like a study, like a test prep and everything, please contact us. We would definitely help you out with you. Okay. Thank you for your time. Hey, Justin.
Great. I thank you guys so much. That was very helpful. Again, this session was recorded, so we will email you their contact information as well as a recording of the webinar. Thank you guys for hosting and for giving us that information, and thank you all for tuning in. Have a good night.
Okay, bye.
Good night.